There are two types of landlords in this world. There's the stressed out amateur and there's the systems driven pro. The amateur is constantly putting out fires. Late rent, bad tenants, emergency repairs. The pro has built a fireproof system from day one. Today, I'm going to give you the systems to become a professional landlord so that having tenants in your property is easier and more carefree than the alternative. Because this property that you own, that you put all this work into acquiring, is your wealth tool. You need to get someone in there and have systems and processes that create wealth for you, not create headaches. And it can be done. We have amazing tenants. We treat them fairly. For the most part, they do us as well, and we cash flow heavily because of that. Everyone's biggest fear becoming a landlord is that 3 a.m. leaky toilet call or that light bulb's out at midnight and getting a call to replace it. This represents a loss of freedom, a loss of time, and an unknown variable that scares people and creates a lot of avoidance for them not even getting into becoming a real estate investor. We're going to get into a lot of things today that will help mitigate a lot of that risk and worry, especially because you can hire out the property management process. I'm not going to talk about that a ton in this video, but you can hire all of that out. So that maintenance call that won't happen at 3 a.m. because a toilet that's leaking does not require a maintenance emergency call, or that light bulb that needs to be readjusted does not require you to get up at 2 a.m. and fix it. That all can happen the next day and the next morning. But regardless, just hiring it out is a very simple way that the person that you hire or the company that you hire, they get those phone calls and messages, not you. So you can probably stop watching the video if you're just going to hire it out. But if you want to understand the management process, keep watching. And if you do manage the property, those fears can be well-founded if you're an amateur and don't have the right systems and processes in place. And honestly, after just watching this video all the way through, you will have a lot of ease of mind understanding that if you manage the properties yourself, it's not near as big of a deal as most people think. Amateurs have tenants, professionals have customers. Amateurs have problems, professionals have systems. So let's build your system now. System number one, the tenant system. Finding and screening good tenants. Your tenant is the lifeblood of your wealth system, and finding one is very, very important. You need to list your property on sites that tenants actually go to. Listing them on Zillow or Facebook Marketplace or with an agent is a good way to get properties out if you're going to be managing them yourself. There are things called Tenant Turner that syndicate to all of the sites. There's several different types of software that does that, but Tenant Turner is a main one that we use, that you list it on Tenant Turner and it lists it on all of the available sites. So everything siphons to one central location so you can easily see and approve tenants, and your properties and the applications come from every site possible. The big thing you're going to want to do here is be strict in your tenant screening criteria. It does probably take us another 2 to 3 weeks to approve a tenant than most people. However, that tenant stays an average of 4 to 5 years. If you quickly approve a tenant and they don't meet all the criteria, or you don't have criteria, that is a recipe for disaster. I know because I did it when I got started. Just willy-nilly, I think that's a good phrase here, approving tenants because they can fog a mirror and make enough money is a recipe for you not cash flowing near as much. Because if your tenant leaves every year or two, which doesn't sound that bad, I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to cash flow. My tenants leave every 4 to 5 years. So think about it, in a 10-year time frame, I have 1, maybe 2 tenants, and if you have 5 or 6 tenants in that time frame, you have turnover, and turnover costs you money without actually producing any cash because you're not collecting rent during turnover, and you're not going to cash flow in the long haul. So having strict criteria and being strict is key. The biggest thing is you're going to want to have a minimum credit score, a minimum income, and look at some of the other variables like calling their previous and current landlord to see if they're actually good tenants, looking at their pay stubs, and ensuring that they make 3 times net income compared to the actual rent. Meaning if the rent is $1,000, they need to make at least $3,000 net. And this will kick some people out because some people will make $3,000 gross, but only pull home $2,500. So rent's $1,000, but their net pays $2,500. We want a minimum of 3 times. And we do lose applicants that can't afford the places that we have. But if it's a tight squeeze for them, just think about it logically. If they have a radiator go out in their car or a big unexpected expense they have to pay, that tightens their budget and that minimizes the chance of them fully paying you rent every single month. So what we do is we make sure that they can make enough money. Yes, it takes more time, energy, and effort at the beginning, but after they're approved, knowing they make enough money makes a big difference, and our tenants stay longer because of that. There's a lot of software out there. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like Turbo Tenant or Rent Ready, they can do a lot of the screening for you and keep everything centralized. If you're not going to hire out the property management and you're going to manage in-house, you're going to need some software to help, and those two can help a ton. Getting good tenants in place can literally eliminate 90% of your headaches in your future, because if you have a good tenant that makes enough money, that's qualified, that you communicated with, they're probably going to pay rent on time, they're probably going to follow the lease. Any issues that they do have are going to go through the tenant portal. They're not going to be calling you and blowing up your cell phone that you should not give them anyway. So it just makes the process easier. So spend some time up front and the rest of this will be a lot easier. You'll be on a downhill trajectory. I can almost guarantee it. System number 2, the legal system. This is all about having an ironclad lease. Your lease is the single most important document when it comes to your relationship with the tenant and your relationship with the property. Do not download a free generic version on the internet. You need a version that is customized to you and what you want, so you're going to need to get this looked at. The good news is you shouldn't have to update this all the time, and if you're involved in some type of mentorship, hopefully you're in mine or will be in mine in the future, we can provide some good quality leases that you can adjust, or talk to another real estate investor that's a landlord, look at their lease and get a lawyer to look at. It'll cost you a few $100, but it'll save you thousands, if not tens of thousands, having a good lease in place. Your lease needs to clearly define the relationship between you and the tenant and the property. Clearly laying out all the stipulations and making sure they're communicated is key. Things like late fees, guests, pets, lawn care, and a lot of other things, laying out who is responsible for what. And the key here is you take care of what you're responsible for. You respond in a timely manner. Even if we can't get something fixed that they fill out a maintenance request for in 24 hours, which is usually the case because it's not an emergency and it's something simple, we communicate them within 24 hours that we have received the request and we are processing it, and we'll get out there and give them a time as soon as possible. So you taking care of your part of the lease will highly incentivize them to take care of their part of the lease. You do your part, you lead by example, and most likely they will follow through and they will take care of all of the things that they need to be taken care of, and everybody wins. System number 3, the money system. Automate everything you can. Professional landlords don't chase rent checks, they collect through automation. There are free services on TurboTenants or Apartment.com that can collect rent for you. But if you're looking at a property management software, I can almost guarantee you that they will have a rent collection process that allows you to do it online easily. Of course, a tenant can mail in a check if they want to, and you will have tenants that want to do that, but never go collect rent. It needs to show up digitally into your bank account, or it needs to show up in the mail, and then you put it in your bank account. Rent needs to come to you, and you need to have a system and a process in place as far as late rent goes. For example, if the rent for us is not in our bank account or the check is in our inbox, by the 5th day, it is considered late. And by the 21st day, if they haven't paid or communicated, we send them to an eviction attorney. Lots of times they'll pay us a little bit late and pay a late fee, or if we're communicating with them, we're working through it, we're not going to send them to an eviction attorney, but they know the process. They initial next to it when we sign the lease to show them that it's due on this day, it's considered late on this day, and if you haven't communicated with us and have a good reason why it's late, you still have to pay the late fee, we're sending you to court on this day. It allows for a smooth process, and there's nothing like hidden behind, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this and sending me to the eviction court. Well, you haven't talked to us in 4 weeks and your rent's late, so that's where we're sending you. And the good thing about Missouri and the Midwest and Southeast, it is tenant and landlord friendly. It is fair for both. We can't just kick someone out. However, we can get them out in a timely manner if they don't pay or stick to a payment plan that the courts give them. In California, they're squatting. There's all this other crazy stuff happening. That's why I don't let anyone invest there, at least inside my community. If you want to own rentals long-term, the Midwest and Southeast are going to give you the most flexibility, and they're going to be fair. It doesn't favor the landlord over the tenant. It is just a fair representation where each party is represented and each party has chances to make it work. And if they don't, then it could be a clean break. Make sure you have a business bank account that everything flows into so you can track everything for your future taxes and write-offs and all of those different things. And make sure you have a set list of contractors that you go to so when someone does need a leaky sink fixed or a light bulb changed or a broken window replaced, you have the actual contractors in place. A lot of these are going to potentially be contractors you use on the rehab side, but you're probably going to have different conversations and have an A list, a B list, and a C list so you can get things taken care of quickly. And the best thing is to have them all written down and automated and have a conversation with them beforehand so they know that you're going to be calling them. Because if a contractor's used to working a certain type of way on a vacant property that there's no huge rush on, it's a little bit different going to an occupied property when the tenant's there or the tenant's at work. So it's just a little bit different, but set all this stuff up and have it systemized from the jump. The big thing here is tenants are our friends, they're our customers. We need to respect them, we need to treat them fairly, and if we do that, there's a a high chance of us being successful owning our property long term and allowing that property to create wealth for us by growing in value, tenant paying down the mortgage, getting cash flow and tax savings. That can all happen when a tenant is occupying the property and paying you rent, and you can control that by setting up the example and setting the expectations from day one. Hopefully you learned a little bit on this series. This is a 5-part series. If you're just catching this one, go back and watch the previous 4. This channel is dedicated to helping you find your first or your next rental property in 2026 using as little as your money as possible. The next few videos, I'm really going to dig into some examples on how to find and fund and rehab and create wealth through buying rental properties in today's market. Appreciate you for watching. See you on the next one.